Welcome back to part 2, and onward we go with our journey. See, some of these are a bit more recent, some of these. This one isn't. Oh, that's been repaired with really nice sandstone. They've done a lovely job, and redressed as well. In loving memory of David Cohen, who died 27th of December 1943, aged 34 years. Mourned by his wife, mother, brothers, sisters, relatives and friends. Peace to his soul. In loving memory from Mother, Barney, Hetty, Jean and Gilda. See, we come to one of the roads here, the rows, so we'll go back that way in a minute. We'll walk down one of them. This one. Trying to find someone. Yeah, these are mostly 40s, so that's pretty okay. In loving memory of my beloved husband, Harry Wolfish, who passed away 14th of December 1942, aged 47. Dearly mourned by his sorrowing wife, daughters, father, brother, sisters and friends. May his dear soul rest in peace. Elohim at the bottom. Have you noticed the age is quite young? And a lot of them are 1930s, 40s. 10, 15 years later, a lot of the medical conditions that they died of, they could have been saved by antibiotics. But sadly it came too late for many of our forebears. In loving memory, my dear husband, Maurice Rubin, who died 16th of January 1951, aged 51 years. Deeply mourned by his loving wife Sophia, son Charles, sisters Sarah, Leah and Jessie, mother-in-law, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, nephews, nieces, relatives and friends. Peace to his soul. Thy will be done, Elohim. A bitter grief, a shock severe. The time had come to part. God takes our loved ones from our homes, but never from our hearts. And these ones are more recent, so we'll carry on with our journey. I won't focus on the names because they are recent, but you see the hands of Elohim and the Torah. It's the hands of God and the Word of God. That's fine. These are 1930s. I thought it was 1972. It's got oh, this is interesting. I photographed this one. It's got dates of birth and where they're born. In loving memory of Saul Sigmund Mann, born Krakow, 21st of July 1872, died 27th of May 1939, aged 66. Bonner Mann, born in Copenhagen, 12th of December 1877, and she died on the 18th of August 1937, aged 59. Deeply mourned by their children, sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, relatives and friends. Peace to their dear souls, Elohim. We're in section PX 15. Oh, I wish our cemeteries were laid out this neatly and well kept. You see there's no grass in a Jewish cemetery and no flowers. You don't leave flowers in a Jewish cemetery. When you come to a Jewish cemetery, and here is a classic example of it here, you will leave a stone, and I'm not touching it because that's someone's prayer and someone's remembrance to their relative Amelia Imoli Cohen, who died 4th of February 1943, aged 53 years. Deeply mourned by her sorrowing children, grandchild, father, sister, brother, relatives and friends. Peace to her soul, Elohim. Someone in 1938, this grave, look, and people still come and they leave the stones and the prayers. In loving memory of Lewis Cohen, who died 10th of November 1936, aged 54 years, deeply mourned by his devoted wife, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, grandchildren, relatives and friends. Peace to his soul. There are Commonwealth war graves in this cemetery, and I will find them, like a section of them apparently. I don't know if it's this Jewish cemetery or the one on High Street North, because we're High Street South up this end. Still can't believe how well it's laid out. It's a school over there, can hear the children playing. Luckily the wall is high enough to block the view from me and them. Be the nicest thing for them to have to look out onto a cemetery, would it, bless them. Loving memory of Leonora, beloved wife of the late Ephraim Wise, who died 1st January 1927, aged 80. Deeply mourned by her sorrowing sons, daughters, son-in-law, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, relatives and friends. A light is from our household gone, a voice we love distilled. A place is vacant in our home which never can be filled. May her dear soul rest in peace. Have you noticed also with the Jewish graves that the husbands and wife are not buried on top of each other like in our graves? They may be buried with the bigger graves like side by side, but not usually like that. And usually buried within 24 hours. In the old days it used to be in a burial shroud, but I don't know about that now. 1948, and well looked after as well, nice to see. In loving memory of David Anthony Bourne, who died 25th of March 1948, aged 10 months. Deeply mourned by his heartbroken parents, sister, grandparents, aunt, uncles and cousins. Sleep on, dear David, sleep on. A token from his grandparents. May Elohim grant peace to his little soul. Bless him. That's awful. Life was hard back then. For every 5 children that parents had, they might expect to lose 2, maybe 3. Sarah, the beloved wife of Philip Isaacs, who died 24th of February 1926, aged 73 years. Also, the above named Philip Isaacs, who died October the 9th, 1930, aged 81 years, deeply mourned. And see, they'll be buried side by side, but not on top of each other. It's seen as deeply wrong and disrespectful, particularly for the wife to be laying on top of the man. And in the old days, a lot of women died after their husbands, if they didn't die in childbirth, young that is. Shirley Wynne, August 1935 to January 1936, forever in our thoughts. I think we're going to have rain in a minute because I can feel the spits of it coming down. Hopefully we'll get away with it. Where's the clouds going? Now it's coming towards us, I think. Oh well. I'm sure we'll survive. See, look, a side-by-side burial. William Wolfe, who died May 29th, 1938, sorry, aged in his 92nd year. Wow, that's a good age. Deeply mourned by his children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Peace to his soul, Elohim. In loving memory of Sophia, the beloved wife of William Wolfe, died October the 25th, 1925, aged 77. Deeply mourned by her husband and children. Peace to her soul. Sylvia Levy died 8th of January 1932 in her 14th year. Deeply mourned by her sorrowing parents, brothers, sister, grandmother and relatives. And we've come up to the end part of the cemetery here, but obviously not the end of our journey because we are going to be going on. We've still got the synagogue burial chapel to have a look at yet, and
quite a big swathe of the cemetery. So it'll probably 3 or 4 parts, not quite sure exactly how many. Each one around about 30 minutes long. On TikTok, it's going to be a long one of 10-minute increments. But the cemetery and churchyard ones, they seem to prove really popular. And we'll go along this way, shall we? No, we'll go along the middle bit. These look a bit new, these ones. Our objective is to find the Commonwealth War Graves section, if it is in this Jewish cemetery. I think it is, because it did say on the picture Marlow Road Jewish Cemetery. So hopefully, if they're here, I'm hoping they'll be near the synagogue burial chapel. A sepulchre grave, double burial, in loving memory of David Van Praag. David Van Praag, Praag, a true friend of the orphans and the poor. Died Tebeth the 5th, 5696, which is December the 30th, 1935, in his 60th year. Deeply mourned by his devoted wife, Jenny, brother and sisters, and of his wife, Jenny Van Praag. Is that a G or a C? So it could be Van Praag or Van Prace. I do beg their pardon if I've got their name wrong. Died Shavat 23rd, 5713, which is February the 8th, 1953, in a 79th year. So that, I know what that is now. That died Shavat thing is I didn't know, and it said in accordance with and whatnot. It's the Jewish month and date and year. We're going to go down this way now. I probably did photograph that one, but I'll make sure I get again, because I found that one interesting. Born in Krakow, she was born somewhere else, and they found themselves in our little part of London, and here they rest. May Elohim grant peace to their souls. Sorry if I'm getting on your nerves, keep saying that, but there's a big respect element with churchyards and cemeteries, and you should try and show that respect if you can, and you know how and whatnot. Everyone knows how to show respect. Oh, sorry, it's the 1980s. Oh, these into okay. On the left, we've got Samuel Rosner. Died 11th January 1955, aged 62 years, deeply mourned by his sorrowing wife, sister, relatives and friends. Peace to his dear soul. Samuel Gordon, who passed away 2nd December 1954, aged 51 years, deeply mourned by his brothers, sisters-in-law, nephews, nieces, relatives and friends. May his dear soul rest in everlasting peace. Off we go with our journey. 1966. Try to stick to anything 40s and earlier. 50s if it doesn't look looked after or visited, shall we say. But I do try to be careful. See, I've seen some video. Oh, this is nice, look. The date's gone anyway, so that's not too bad. It's 1953. Morris Freemstan, who passed away 22nd of January 19, and it's 53 or 5. It's in the 1950s, age 68. But look, the people that come and visit, and they don't just end up on there by mistake, because you can see by the other graves. And as I said, you don't see flowers in the Jewish cemetery, but the graves that are visited, you will see the stones. As my old great-grandmother would say, that shows we've been. Like a tomcat marking its territory kind of thing. So she was had a good sense of humour, apparently. In loving memory of Zipporah, beloved wife of Adolph Cohen, who died 17th of March 1936, aged 81, deeply mourned by her sorrowing husband, children, sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives and friends. In loving memory of Adolph, adored husband of the late Zipporah Cohen. They died 24th of March 1938, aged 80, deeply mourned by his sorrowing children, sons-in-law, daughters-in-laws, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives and friends. Rest with your beloved in eternal peace. And hers was rest in eternal peace. '38. In ever-loving memory of Rebecca, beloved wife of Israel Cohen, died September the 8th, 1938, aged 61, deeply mourned by her husband, children, grandchildren, relatives and friends, a devoted wife and a wonderful mother. May her soul rest in peace. And then you've got a Jewish verse. And of our beloved father, Israel Cohen, died June the 24th, 1951, aged 76, a devoted husband and a wonderful father. Rest together in peace. Amen. Into his hands I commend my spirit when I sleep and when I wake, and with my spirit, my body also, the Lord is with me, and I shall not fear. In loving memory of Isaac, beloved husband of Rose Cohen, who died 8th of December 1954, 13th Kislev 5715, in his 88th year. And then in loving memory of Rosetta, Rosie, beloved wife of Isaac Cohen, who died the 1st of January 1937, 18th Tebeth 5697, in her 74th year. Take a picture of those. It's obviously the year in the Jewish or the Hebraic, but we'll be able to check those out on Google if we want to. In loving memory of Solomon and Annie Cohen. Solomon died on the 1st of February 1937, aged 74, and Annie died 26th of January 1937, aged 72. So they both died in the same year. She died in January and he died in February. That's something. Always makes you wonder with ones like that, doesn't it? If the one couldn't live without the other. Could have been an infectious disease, flu, something like that, contagious, one passed to the other. But I like to think of the sad but romantic element of it, that they maybe couldn't live without each other and then they went to peace together. So, yeah. Sorry, it's the old romantic in me. It is there somewhere. In loving memory of Louis Harry, the beloved husband of Esther Luttenberg, who died February 22nd, 1929, aged 49 years. Deeply mourned by his devoted wife, son, daughter, father, brothers, sisters, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, relatives and friends. Also of our beloved mother, Esther Luttenberg, died 2nd of June 1951, aged 73 years, deeply mourned by her devoted children, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, brothers, sisters, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, relatives and friends. No one knows the silent heartache only those who have loved can tell of the grief that is born in silence. For you, our darlings, we loved so well. Peace to their dear souls. Louis Rosen, born 14th of July 1862, died 17th of February 1935, a dearly beloved husband of Hannah Rosen and devoted father of Sim and the late Jack Rose. Deeply mourned by his sorrowing wife, daughter, relatives and friends. And it's the same verse, no one knows the silent heartbreak. Jack Rose, that name rings a bell for some reason. In loving memory of Clara, widow of Esaias Solomon Black, who died 15th of July 1928, aged 73. See, he may be buried in here as well, nearby, but unless they could afford the double grave, they weren't buried together. We'll cover that one. In loving memory of Solomon, beloved husband of the late Sissy Rebecca Harringman, who died 14th of April 1929, aged 88 years. And you got Sissy Rebecca, beloved wife of Solomon Harringman, who died 30th of May 1928, aged 83 years. And then you've got just below them the deeply mourned by all their relatives and that. Peace to his and her soul. The one that's been replaced there. Some got smashed up. Jenny Moss, 8th of February 1935. Fifth Adari, 5695, deeply mourned by her husband and son. In loving memory of Esther, widow of Samuel Rothenberg, died 19th of September 1927, aged 62. Deeply mourned by her sorrowing children, grandchildren, relatives and friends. Peace to her dear soul. Got a vault type one over here. And a football, which we'll chuck over the fence in a minute. It's come from the school, hasn't it? There ain't going to be many people in here that can chuck it back for them. Bless them. In loving memory of Sadie, devoted wife of Meyer Schulman, Schoolman. It's either Schoolman or Schulman. Don't know how you pronounce it. Died 11th of May 1927, aged 23 years. That's young. Janetta Haas, who died 22nd of February 1927, aged 63, everlastingly mourned by her only child, Henry, and relatives. May her soul rest in peace. Abraham Greenberg, who died 2nd of... Who died? What's that? Oh, December. D-E-C-D. Yeah, December the 2nd, 1927. Aged 45 years. Deeply mourned. This stone was erected by the wish of his late sister Frida. It's half bloody gone down anyway. Oh well, we did the right thing and we gave it back. Yeah, it should be about 3 parts, this one, maybe 4. The graves towards the front over this way are more newer, so we'll see what we see when we get to there. I don't want to cover anything that's too modern or too new. We're 25 minutes on this one, so we'll be coming up to our 30 minutes section in a minute. 30-minute ending. And go on to our next part. Many of you who have not visited a Jewish cemetery before or ever seen one before probably will be surprised by the neatness, the layout of it. We're now going to head ourselves over to the synagogue burial chapel. I'm hoping that's where the Commonwealth War graves might be. We shall see. Oh, it's turned very warm now. We'll go down this way and then hopefully we can get over to it from that way. Get the angle of it with its area. Yeah, it's the Commonwealth War graves I'm looking for, but it could be the other Jewish cemetery because the site I looked on is not always that accurate. Bless its little cottons. Wikipedia, you can it's all right with some of its information, but the photos sometimes they tend to be. You look at that and you think that's not there. And you know exactly where it is. Sarah, beloved wife of Solomon Jacobs, died 25th of November 1948, aged 85. Deeply mourned by her sorrowing husband, sons, daughter, son-in-law, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives and friends. May her dear soul rest in peace. And her devoted husband Solomon enjoined her in eternal rest on April the 2nd, 1952, aged 86 years. Deeply mourned by his sorrowing sons, daughter, son-in-law, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives and friends. May his dear soul rest in peace. They will live in our hearts forever. And as you can see, they are still well remembered. Oh, so that's 1985, that one. It's an old. Some of the gravestones in here, you have to look because they're quite old-fashioned in their style, but newer than you might think, if you know what I mean. This is a big vault, this one. 1976. Yeah, it's a bit more, as I say. Here we are, is the synagogue chapel, which we'll come into now. Oh, I don't. Do you know? I'm going to say people are probably going to think I'm crazy, but I just swore blind there was someone standing there. Oh. Well, if there is someone there, I mean no disrespect, and may Elohim grant peace to your soul. Number 10. In loving memory of Abraham Cohen, died 24th of February 1938, aged 72. Mourned by his sorrowing son, daughters, son-in-law, relatives and friends. Peace to his dear soul. Well, that was most strange. You can see the old synagogue chapel there. Burial, well, just call it a synagogue burial chapel. I don't know what its full name is. Or correct name, rather, I should say. We shall have a look at it, notwithstanding. This one's collapsed, but hopefully, horrible as it is, under its own steam rather than vandalism. Some vaults do collapse under their own weight. They're extremely heavy and they shift sometimes, and then bits will break and wash. Put it this way, you don't want to be near one when it breaks. This tablet was presented by the children of the late Ephraim Hyman Goldberg, who departed this life at Duran, Natal, South Africa on July the 22nd, 1914, Tammuz 28th, 5674. A good father and a good man. May his soul rest in peace. I'm having a job to see the screen because the sun's shining on it. Photo of that. I'm sweating like a PRG. Oh, sorry. Oh, I do beg your pardon. I really shouldn't have said that. I am so sorry. And I did not say that intentionally. I'm sweating. I'm really sorry. I did not say that intentionally. You know I'm not like that. So yeah, this is the synagogue type area. Ah, there's a toilet, thank goodness. Because I shall need the toilet. Right, I'm just going to pause you a sec. I'm going to stop you because we've gone past our 30 minutes, so join me again in a minute.